In the interest of that, I thought I would offer 3 potentially great things that happened in the game on Sunday, okay?
Okay.
Number 1,
Mm-hmm.
defense was really good. It really was. The Rams aren't a perfect team, but they do have a legit quarterback. They do have real weaponry on the outside. They do have a mad genius for a head coach. McDonald was brought here to make that work, and they did a whole lot more right in that game than we've seen for a while. And maybe you can make an argument that as the defense has gotten healthier, they've gotten better. Kobe Bryant was a bit of a difference maker. Maybe he's a better communicator. He he kind of did everything they needed him to do at the safety spot. They stopped the run. By doing so, they got to rush the passer with some of that, patented trademark creativity. There were a lot of positives in that their defense looked significantly better than it had for the last few weeks.
Yeah, and I think most importantly in that improvement was your second level. Was Ernest Jones and Dotson, and those 2 guys playing off one another, playing off of the blocks, leading the team in tackles, those 2. Like, that's what it's supposed to look like in this scheme. Like, that's how you clean it up. That's how you don't allow, as Jonathan Vilma said, all those leaky yards. I mean, Buffalo was a 1-yard run to a 6-yard run, a 5-yard run to an 8-yard run, an 8-yard run to a 17-yard run, like over and over again. That wasn't the case. You hold any NFL team, and especially that scheme and that style, to less than 3 yards a carry, Salk, that's winning football. And defensively, it had been a while since we had seen it. And against a competent, top-tier kind of QB, that was the first time, in fact, we had seen it this season.
He was. We talked to Mike McDonald yesterday, and he did specifically mention the run defense as one of those things that was a lot better.
I think it's a good example of defensively. We're taking criticism over the past X amount of weeks, and justifiably so. But like the approach that we've had, and trying to push through, the guys sticking together, making some tweaks, getting some continuity, and I felt like we took a jump yesterday. Special teams, same thing. We finally made a couple, game-changing plays on special teams, and then offensively, it's just, we're frustrated right now with our production on offense and the efficiency that we're doing, but the approach is the same. I mean, in all 3 phases, and it's a matter of time before we, can push through and we can take that big next step where all 3 kind of come together and we're rolling.
It felt really cool to see Matthew Stafford a number of times have no answers. The guy that's supposed to have gimmies, supposed to have answers, supposed to have baked in, responses. Throw it away, duff it, throw it away, dirt it, out, 3 and out, get off the field. And did I hear Vilma say this correctly during the broadcast, or Kenny, that the Seahawks defense leads the league in forced 3 and outs? Is that true, Ian or Lyle, or know? I mean, that sounds like a
receiving yards. That breakout is enormous. And does it matter for that game? Yes, of course. I mean, it was great to see, but I think that it could have a tail that goes well beyond just that one game. It shows Geno that he can trust him. It shows Geno he can trust somebody else besides DK Metcalf. I kind of went through yesterday what it could look like as a potential model for doing it and building an offense another way. And I do think that's a possibility long term, and maybe not going to judge that on one game. But yesterday maybe showed you a little bit of a path or a model to what that could look like. The other thing is, if you now have 2 receivers that Geno can really trust, that he will throw to at any point and trust them to go up and get it and make a play, that's a major difference in a real 1-2 punch. What does that look like for them?
Well, I think 3, you have to add Tyler into that, doing it a little bit differently. But Tyler's shown, and Geno have shown the last couple of years that, he can throw the ball to spots that Tyler gets to and trusts into traffic that, he's not going to throw to Jake Bobo or Cody White or some of these other guys. It shows you that, this guy was worthy of that top 20 pick as well. I think organizationally, okay, that's it. It's what I had been clamoring for 5 or 6 weeks, saying I need to see more. I just got to see more. You don't get picked that high to be a possession guy. You can find those guys in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. You get picked that high because you set the state on fire in Texas and broke all the receiving records. You get picked that high because you have a 300-yard day in the Rose Bowl that's never been done before. You get picked that high because you catch a ball and you make somebody miss and you get more than what is just there. And he did that time and time again in that game. Contested catches, tough catches, down the field catches, short intermediate catches. Yeah, that was I really hope, an infusion of confidence kind of game for JSN that now we take off from there.
Right.
You can do this. Yep. you are capable of doing this.
So what does it look like if Gino's got real legit trust in DK and in Jaxon, and they, were both out there together? How does that change this offense?
Well, it looks like, what you saw the Huskies do on Montlake, go 14-1. It looks like there's Roma Dunze when I need it. There's Jalen McMillan when I need it. There's Polk when I need it. There's, you, again, same thing as the 40 minutes of hell defensively. Like, you then get to dictate. Now, that all means you've got to have enough time to do that, Salk. Like, you got to make sure you can trump.
We're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there.
All right.
We haven't forgotten about that problem.
Oh, good.
We're getting there.
Good.
We're getting there.
Goody.
Third positive, Brock, and you talked about this already, so we don't need to spend too much time on it, but McDonald knows he's got the right kind of guy on his team. Mm-hmm. Even if he doesn't necessarily have all of the talent he wants, especially in some key spots, they fought like hell. They didn't roll over. They didn't quit. They didn't complain. There might be some changes eventually, and we'll see this roster turnover, but it does feel anyways if he's maybe starting to zero in on what he wants, especially in terms of the types of people he wants.
I kind of poo-pooed you at times during the Mariners baseball season, and you would say, well, one thing I give credit for, and certainly it was your biggest argument for Scott, through and through, is his guys never quit playing, right? And I kind of poo-poo that because, you're a pro. That's what you get paid to do, okay? You got to play. Now, there can be a difference. And you do see this, and I have experienced it. In the one losing team I played on, a 6-10 team in the NFL, guys still played hard, but they didn't play for each other. They just played for themselves, right? So typically in the pros, Salk, it's really difficult to see a team that's just totally shut it down. This is their livelihood. This is how they continue to sustain their career. They need to continue to play hard. Now, do they do it for their teammate or do they do it for themselves? If they start doing it for themselves, you got a problem. And I think that honestly is what Mike felt during the game and was reinforced with the tape that no. This dude's taking on 2 blocks, so Ernest is free. Yep, this guy is doing this job, and he is sacrificing on this route, and he is running so stinking hard to clear space for Jaxon. We are playing relentless, and Cody, Cody's block in the team's game was such a great picture of that. So, yeah, those are all positives. And I'm glad we spent 12 minutes on that.
Well, there were a lot of positives. Here's 3 minutes on some of the negatives. I have 3 real concerns, and we'll do a minute on each. The first, Brock, the offensive line, obviously. I don't know how much more time we can spend talking about this, but the offensive line is a mess. The interior of it is the real problem. I don't know whether today at the trade deadline there's an opportunity to do something. Did they get a lot of help? No. I think there were some plays in there, right, where maybe the running back chips and it helps out, or maybe there's, there's some little things that other people could do to help them out. But yes, there's no other way of looking at this. The offensive line's a problem.
Well, let me just rattle through stats.
Okay.
And I
You have
know,
to?
yeah, I'll rattle through a few of them. This was at Today Seahawks over there on Twitter. Anthony Bradford leads all guards by allowing 6 sacks himself. He also leads the league in penalties with 9. Stone Forsythe, by the way, has been out 2 weeks, still leads the league in pressures allowed at 35. Connor Williams leads all centers with 8 penalties plus bad snaps. Laken Tomlinson's 104th out of 111 guards in pressures allowed at 20. And since week 6, the run game's averaging 2.5 yards a carry.
It's a rough situation. There's no real positive in there other than Charles Cross. And even yesterday, McDonald was asked, how do you evaluate your quarterback with this problem?
Yeah, it's really we got to do a better job of taking care of Gino, throughout the course of the game. That's we have to be more efficient on those early downs so teams aren't teeing off on us on second and long, and it's hard. It's hard. Now, in those situations, we do have, at the end of the day, we got to be ball dominant. So we can't put the ball in harm's way. Gino knows that. I know that's why he's really hard on himself right now. But it is more of a reflection of us as a football team than just Gino when the quarterback's getting hit. So we got to do a better job.
All right. So obviously that one is a huge concern. Second,
let me just add. Let me have one last one from at Hayden Hinks. Geno Smith has faced 95, an NFL high 93 pressures, Salk, that were charted as originally blocked. That means not free runners.
Right.
93 of those where there were enough blockers and they were originally blocked, but they still became a pressure within 2.5 seconds. That means the Seahawks are identifying who to block, but they instantly can't hold up.
They just can't do it. Yeah.
All game.
I'll throw in one more super fast.
Oh, Lord. We know. They're bad. They're awful. It's terrible. Today's a positive day. All right. What do you got?
Ken Walker in 6 games has 103 rushing yards before contact. 17 and a half yards he's averaging a game before contact. How is that even possible?
Yeah.
It's not possible. I declare that stat to be false. How about that?
Stop declaring.
I don't like it, so I say it's false.
You
That
know what
could happen
happens every time you say the word declare.
Yeah.
It's like developers. Don't say I declare anything on this show.
No, I
okay?
know, because I know where you might go with it.
Yes.
All right. Second thing, Brock.
Prima nocta.
The secondary is problematic. Secondary is a problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's jumping out to me more and more as we've watched this season. Jenkins is out. He has not been very effective. Woolen and Brown have both had major issues throughout the year. This was supposed to be one of the major strengths of this team, and it has not been. So to me, that concern continues to bubble. And then finally, the one answer I didn't like from McDonald, I liked everything he said, except for the answer on how do you clean up undisciplined issues. I don't know how you do that on a professional team midseason. I don't know that there is a good answer. Because I was telling these guys earlier, like, there's a part of me that wants them to be like, yeah, you know what I'm going to do? Every time there's a penalty, I make a run a lap. I'm like, like, there's a part of you that wants that,
I'm
right?
gonna put it
like,
on a penalty board.
drop and give me 20. Like,
I'm gonna put it up on a penalty board for everybody to see. So
I'm going to cut you. Like, there's a part of you that wants that. It's not going to do that in the pros. That's not how it works.
Nope.
I don't know how you clean up some of the discipline issues this team has.
Well,
but those are still the 3 concerns I got.
I do, and it started. And the best way to do it was Jaron Reed poking his eyes, right? Like the Three Stooges, like which one was it? Mo, right in the face mask of Derek Hall in that Buffalo game. Like, hey, come on now. Like, let's go. Like, enough. That was ridiculous.
Yeah,
We
it worked so
cannot
well
do
that
this.
they only took 12 penalties, and Derek Hall had another penalty of
it was
exactly the same ilk the next week. So no, I don't think that helped all that much. I get that was what he tried to do, but I don't know whether it worked. All right.